They'll be calling you a radical. This is big breaking news. So the government recommended 16 to 20 years to Larry Crooked householder. The back to Ohio, my city was gone. The nuclear energy BRIBEE. The Republican House Majority Leader, who took $60 million in bribes from the nuclear energy company. The government had recommended 16 to 20 years for him. Judge hammered him, gave him the 20 years. And the judge just rips him and goes off on him. So let's stay with this. And this doesn't prove you at the #1 school business when we used to do the due diligence, right? I remember working on helping the due diligence on when Wells Fargo bought First Security Bank. Zions was going to buy it. Oh, it's so corrupt. So you don't even want to get me into that. That's a long story. But anyway, this corruption is so over the top and so nasty and so disgusting how this played out. So I was heavily involved. I'm the very first guy that was trying to block bailouts. The nuclear energy crime scene was on its ass post-Fukushima. These reactors were closing left and right every other day. They were closing. So Kevin Lash started that trend. Kevin Lash, Kathy Awani, Gene Stone, Greg Hedrick and crew, we kicked that thing down at San Onofre. So, as you know, they were all shutting down. San Onofre, Cahoon, Dwayne Arnold's, 3 Mile Island, Indian Point, Oyster Creek. I mean, just dozens of them shutting down. Palisades, supposed to be Diablo Canyon. They're all shutting down. And then in New York, this started. They come out, we're shutting down. First Energy is heavily involved. We're going to shut it down 9 Mile Island, 9 Mile Point, which is 3 times worse than 3. I mean, down to the 3 upstate, all of them, New York, they're done. Status Queen Como, as you know, I was in New York constantly fighting these monsters. Status King Como, bank bailout on chemo. Not 7.6 million, 7.6 billion. With no legislative due process, just here. Nothing. Just handed it to them. I did the due diligence on reactors here for years, and I just go screaming crazy at the WADA School, the #1 school business in the United States, who's under investigation by the FBI now. How's that even possible? How do you go from #1 to dead last? So stay with me. This class right here is the highest exit tasting of a finance class in the history of this country to this day. My class. I was a student professor then. I graduated then. I was teaching then. Same time that Elon Musk is going to Wharton. Wharton's our sister school. But we're a private institution. We're a public institution. They're private. Them and Harvard, we're beating them every year. Every year we're beating them. And why would you destroy that? Go ask the state of Utah. So I'm fighting them. Remember all that work I did in New York? Status King Como, bank bailout on chemo. You know, the city that never sleeps is asleep. We went in New York as part of the group. We went door to door, house to house, and you could sign up on your utility bill. I'll get my utility bill out. And you could sign up for clean energy. You had to pay a little bit more. And it said right on it, wind, solar. That's it. Did the same thing in Utah. Well, AMP stills it in Utah. And you don't even know that here in Utah, NuScale, now it's being reported just what I said, all the news. I'm the only guy that fought NuScale tooth and nail from the very beginning. Well, I'm full of cancer. I mean, I told you it was a fraud. I'm the guy that exposed that Kenwood Financial was a fraud. And now it's being disclosed that the insiders just been selling in massive droves. They took it public. I'm an ex-IPO. I'm an ex-investment banker. I taught that class here. I taught all this here when we're #1 school. Remember, #1 school business in the United States. In the United States. Now it's last. Why would you destroy such a thing? So, under the IPO price, it gets support at 10. It's a 14. I mean, it's a 666 right now. What the hell? So, I'm the guy fighting these bailouts for whom the bell tolls. For whom the bell tolls. Freaking good nuclear energy puppets. So, Ohio, how can this possibly be? Now stay with me. This will blow your mind if this is not proof that the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate owns you. The cover up of Fukushima. So they're starting to go state to state. I'm fighting them in Utah. I catch them dead red. I catch them illegally campaigning during session. It's their video it. I've caught them. I've exposed them. I've gone to the FBI. I've gone to the NRC. Now stay with me. This is the corruption. This bailout nightmare started in New York with Status King Cuomo. State to state, house to house. There's not enough at the IAEA. They get the national or the worldwide, subsidy. They get the World Bank subsidy. They get the federal subsidy, Department of Energy, which is really the Department of Nuclearism. And then Price Anderson, the Immunity Act, you can't touch them. They go house to house. They're going to have a bake sale at your local PTA, I used to say. So they go to Ohio. It's a big deal. They're shutting down the reactors in Ohio. And I was like, whoa, hell no. Meanwhile, the Pacific Ocean dies. You're getting sleepy, so sleepy. So very sleepy, the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate, the Untouchables. And if you don't believe they're the Untouchables, if this case does not prove this to you, so get this. So they get caught. I'm one of the people that was getting those texts. They were shamming us, threatening us, doing all kinds of stuff to us. I fought them hard in Ohio. So they get caught. The FBI office in Cleveland, actually the only one in the country that dared even go after anybody nuclear, goes after them. They catch the 4 politicians, 60 million, just a household, 60 million. One of them committed suicide. So it takes 2 to tango, right? So First Energy, that First Energy, Cleveland Browns Stadium, just like Utah used to be, Energy Solution Stadium, that corruption. I'm running a guy here just recently. I'm from Persia. We don't call Persia here. He says, you know so-and-so? I says, the Energy Solutions guy who got caught in all that corruption in the 90s? I did the due diligence on that. He said, yeah, he's a real estate mogul. Buys up, what? He's a billion. And no wonder you say you're from Persia. And so it's so disgusting, so unbelievable. So I'm like, okay, we got him. The Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate. It takes 2 to tango. So these are the BRIBEEs. Well, who bribed them? It gets proven by the FBI comes out. First Energy is the one who bribes them. So no charges against First Energy. What? The bribers can get away, but the BRIBEEs get 20 years in prison? What are you talking about? So finally, some litigation gets filed. People are pissed. And so Judge Adams in Ohio, he finally the first judge that makes a stand. And he just goes psycho. He goes crazy. And he tells these attorneys, I want their names. These are people, and they hide behind the corporate veil. They're people, I want their names, or I will put you in jail. He just goes off in the courtroom. They threw some low-lying fish's names at him. The Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate, First Energy. Well, just look up the CEO. It's like new skill. I mean, the names are right there. I mean, they report who's insider selling, the CEO, the owner. I mean, right, black and white. So get this. So First Energy is bribing you in Ohio to give them a bailout. Gets proven. So the bailout's off the table, right? Prove it. Oh, hell no, not in Ohio. Not in Ohio. I mean, that new senator spoke right here. Oh, my God. It was so pathetic, I was going to barf. He spoke here. Before he was senator. Oh, my God. So, I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, it gets reported there's been a deal cut with First Energy and the taxpayers of Ohio. They're going to agree to pay a fine of $230 million. Okay, I can do due diligence. I taught at the #1 school of business in the United States right here. That's my class. Still the highest exit testing from the day. You don't think I can read a balance sheet? So Ohio still bails them out. Guess how much they got? So you, the people that they bribed in Ohio, you paid the very fine. They got well over $1 billion. in the bailout. Well, you know, it's amortized over time, but so what? So is this fine. So, I mean, think about this. This will blow your mind. So, the bribers, aka the nuclear energy untouchables, pay $230 million of your own money. You know, that's the American way, right? These corporatist freaking thieves that nuclear energy crime city, still a billion, pay back $1 million. That's not an insurance, that's an incentive. First Energy Stadium, no wonder the Browns can't win. Jim Brown's rolling over in his grave. Oh, they took the name off. So you, the taxpayers in Ohio, and national for that matter, you paid the fine. You gave them $1 billion, they had to pay back $230 million of your own money, and no charges. It blows my mind. It really blows my mind. I can't even wrap my mind around it. So, so do you pay one of these in Utah? Do you pay one of these? That's your power bill. Do you pay one of those? Well, then, if you do, you're handing money to Bill Gates and NewScale while they're selling stock. NewScale got, it's just been reported the stock's plummeted, and just like I said a few days ago, it's got to be insider selling. Is that illegal? You know, they probably did disclose and put it out there. There's no investigative journalism. There's no number one school of business in the country to do due diligence. Well, mission accomplished. So, I would have never believed it. I remember being here in '98 when Lee, who the picture is right here on the FBI investigation, stand right there, when he rolled in. I'm being prepped to take over the program. By Dr. Cooley. I just went at it with that. Supply chain, we're going to do it through the... Now the FBI does an investigation, and Blake Moore, my representative, who grew up just 2 blocks over there, we're getting tough on China. I'm like, Blake, right here in your backyard. Hello, Mr. Cleveland. I did the due diligence. I worked with Dr. Cooley on the due diligence of the biggest holding company in the world, Mariner Eccles, First Security Bank, which was an institution, I mean, the biggest. They sold. Going to sell to Zions. Yeah, Zions. That's Zion Bank. Too big to fail. For like $34 a share. Next thing you know, after we do the due diligence and we're working it, they back out. Of course they backed out. Fire sales to Wells Fargo for 14. I asked Dr. Cooley one day, I said, hummingbird right here on top of the ranch. What the hell? What did you find in there? I mean, because I didn't get into the very deep. We got into the balance sheet, whatever, and he dug the crux out. And then he magically just dies 2 weeks before we get the NBA. Magically. I used to jump people's shit in there all the time. I mean, I called the water starters. Mission accomplished. He says, one day I'll tell you, Kevin. You know, he got mad cow right in his brain. You know, I got some virus in his brain right after. And I used to tell Lee all the time, and these guys, what'd you put in his tea? You know, joking. I'm not joking anymore. After this investigation, I mean, the whole country points to this school, my school. That's my class. Number 1 exit scores in the history of the country. You don't think I know what I'm talking about? How is this possible? He gets 20 years in prison, which he should have got life. And the people that bribed him, nothing, nada. We don't even know their names. You don't think they're the untouchables. You don't know shit. The Department of Energy, which is the Department of Energy, you know about the Immunity Act? Einstein used to go after it. The Immunity Act passed by Congress in 2005 when Europe bombed and went off to Iraq to get a big old sack, went to Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong for some Saudis flying planes into Fleet. They were Saudis. They upped Price Anderson again for 20 years. What's that? In 2005, it's coming up in 2024, 2025. What's Price Anderson? It's called the Immunity Act. It means if you get free money, new scale. What's that fee film, Fuku? You look a little mutated, Fuku. You got 18,000 becquerels of cesium-137 per kilogram in your flesh. That's 18 100 times over the raised, safe, legal limits that Obama and Trump jacked up. What's that? You're a whale. I know, Coco. You're a whale. You're a plankton feeder. Fukushima killed my food. As the animals are washing up dead in SoCal right now, I've been on the phone all night. The work I do for free, I don't get any money. People have been asking me how I survived AML de novo leukemia. A lot of people have been asking me lately, after all these years. Finally, people used to tell me I was given a death sentence. I went into a bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11, fighting back against the people that gave it to me, fighting back against the nuclear energy. I was so heavily involved in Ohio. Remember Sarah? She had surveillance cameras and somebody with a gun at her house. I mean, the threatening emails, these people terrorized us. Anybody was fighting against the bailout. Yet, nothing happens to them. How is this possible? Householder gets 20 years in prison, rightfully so, but the people that bribed him, we don't even know their names, and they have to pay a fine of $230 million, which the Ohio taxpayers paid that fine backdoor. After we catch him, Ohio still passes the bailout. Jobs? Oh, yeah. This is not commentary. I lived in a bone marrow transplant center for 5 years. I lived there, LDSE State. It's not commentary. There were 2 guys in there with me. One from Ohio, one from Illinois. Both worked at nuclear reactors. I says, my work proves you work near or you live around a nuclear energy reactor. That's my work right there. Number 1 school business. That your incidents to die. My father died. I have the atom bomb disease, which Sudoku folded into 1,000 paper crowns. Mom used to call it AML. That's what I have. I'm fighting. I've had open heart surgery twice. I got a pacemaker. I mean, I'm doing all this incredible work. I'm in critical condition. I got people slandering. There are dozens of Facebook pages and freaking YouTube sites, 100% to just attack viciously, slander Kevin Blanch when he's in critical condition. They're still out there. Some of it. A lot of it's. I have the atom bomb disease. I was given 2 months to live. I lived in there. You go in there on any given day, LDSE State. That's the number 1 bone marrow transplant center in the whole region, by far, Embo Peterson. You go in there on any given day, Southern Utah makes up what? 5% of our population? Over half the people in there are freaking. I don't do commentary. I don't eat, sleep, drink it. I sleep with it. They came into Utah NewScale. Now, the corruption NewScale, I'm the guy that exposed that NewScale, the first original funding they got was Kenwood Financial, but that was a Ponzi scheme. I'm the guy that exposed Lead Dog Hedge Fund on the Green. Remember they were going to put a nuclear reactor on the Green River, Blue Castle? Bad timing for them. I was in the bone marrow transplant center. Freaking had the field. I'm like, no, it's corrupt. How is this possible? Well, I just told you how. The Department of Energy, which is the Department of Nuclearism, Rick Perry and Jennifer Graham Home are going to make it sexy again. Jennifer Graham Home reminds me of the mother in East of Eden. And if you've never read that, she really reminds me. Steinbeck describes her so perfect. That's what she reminds me of. Her and Rick Perry going to make nuclear sexy again? Talk about the anti-porn. Woo, woo. It's unbelievable. How can this? And the only FBI office that goes after, I proved that freaking BRIBEE of NewScale in the Utah State House. I'm the only one fighting. We're paying not going to pay, here in Utah, we're paying hundreds of millions for NewScale to freaking supposedly build little nuclear reactors. We're going to have 24 of them online here in Utah by 2019. It's 2023. We don't have any. I just got back from Idaho National Lab. I'm up there doing the dirty work. I know everybody up there. My friend from here owns the Atomic City. He bought the whole city. I talked to him. I don't think they're testing, Kevin. I don't think they're testing. I never felt they're testing because under the Immunity Act Congress passed, it's just like they're rehabilitating SEALs in SoCal right now. The demonic acid epidemic in Santa Barbara County, in Ventura County, mega LA County, freaking Orange County. It's a nightmare. They're getting hundreds and hundreds of calls an hour. While you rehabilitate them in California, Congress passes a law in 2018 that you can legally shoot them as they swim up the mouth of the Columbia or the mouth of these rivers to feed on salmon, which they've done for millions of years when they run. It's a natural cycle. Oregon legally shoots them. Tim Martin and I have videos of them shoot. They should have millions of views. What, we got 438 views? You kettle me, I'll kettle you. It's unbelievable. You don't think they're the untouchable. I fought these bailouts state to state, house to house, harder than anyone. And I mean, well, look what I'm up against. I talk to these young attorneys. Don't you have kids, whatever? That this country will do anything for me. And again, how is this possible? This pisses me off. So what's going on at New Scale? You know, I've been feeding them. Now stay with me on New Scale. So Trump appoints Christine to be head. It's a board of 5 or 7, which I call the nuclear cheerleaders. He gets in. He's got some hook to Idaho, some hook, probably one of the senators. The guy that was an NRC who voted against the New Scale licensing, she jumps him and becomes the new chairman. Okay? She worked with Jose Reyes at Idaho National Lab. I asked our state attorney general to his face at the Bear River Massacre in Idaho. I'm like, well, what about the reactors they're testing right over here? I don't even know what that is. Are you related to Jose Reyes, the CEO? No. And he made sure he came back. Make it clear I'm not related to you. But I don't know what they are, yet we're paying for it. And now Cox, who I asked right here, Governor Cox, I'm like, what about these SMRs that knew around? He played stupid with me up there and here that he didn't even know what I was talking about. Yet first thing he does, he goes and signs a deal with Utah Power and Light and Bill Gates for Utah to fund small nuclear reactors in Cameron, Wyoming. The guy who stole the operating system. Remember when we used to have to use WordPerfect? WordPerfect had 99% of the market right here. Novell, WordPerfect, iOmega, US, right here. Get out your Palm Pilot, get out your freaking flux capacitator. He stole it. We had a trial in 2011. I'd been there, Gates. One hung juror. I would have been there, but I was in a bone marrow transplant LDS. I went into the bone marrow at 11. They're testing them at Idaho National. Johnny and Paul, whom are really close friends, both grew up there. Blackfoot and Arco. They both died in there. They had an accident at Idaho National Lab in the 60s. Oh, a long time ago. You know how long the half-life is? Oh, every time they've tried one of these SMRs. What about Santa Susana in LA? You even know about that? Oh, Santa Susana, don't you cry for me. I can't do Utah with a low percent enough rate. This blows my mind, the work I've done. I've done the work of 1,000 activists, and I get a pacemaker. I get a bill for $1.8 million, get kicked off Medicaid by Mike Lee. Why? I asked Mike Lee right there. What about Fukushima? You know, I just found out my dad's a downwinder. This is after the fact that he got caught bringing in Italian nuclear waste to Energy Solutions. That's where I was at protesting when Fukushima happened. Dr. Cooley right here. Kevin, you keep spitting at this beast, going at this beast, and he's a University of Chicago guy. You know, for Mayon Balco. You keep going at them, they're going to go at you. Guys, bring them on. I'm not afraid of them. You know, this was the #1 school of business, and I had a lot of cover and a lot of political corral. Not now, they're all dead. They're all gone. And the FBI's in here. You know, Rockwell got 10 years in prison. Look it up. He calls himself Rockwell. Rockwell IT. Selling state secrets to China. Lee gets interviewed by the FBI twice. The picture's right here. We don't even hit the Princeton Review. 8 deans later, Kevin Blanche blackballed? I can't believe it. And that's the thing I used to do. I used to do due diligence on nuclear reactors. I used to do models on the Mach 1, Mach 2s. This is Utah Construction. This is who build them all. E.O. Wattis, the CEO. Yeah. He died of leukemia, by the way. Not long after they got the contract to build Hoover Dam. So it's named after. In the belly of the beast, on Balco. This is the University of General Electric. I mean, where do you think all this money come on the merger of GE? The stadium, everything is named after Elizabeth D. Shaw. She's the heir. When Utah Construction and GE merged. I mean, Littlefield and I got in a big fight, her and I. You know, what about my fellowship you guys promised me? What about all that? You know, they were going to start a PhD program here based on me. Go ask Mike Bond. I used to fly in the Learjet with Bill Childs and Warren Buffett back there when he stole it. Come in here, you know, yellow party. There used to be a picture on the wall with me and Buffett with his arm around me. I had to take 4 showers. I mean, what they've done. I mean, you've been smacked by a smooth criminal. So this householder story, this in Ohio, if this doesn't expose, you know what the Untouchables were. You know what that movie's about, the FBI, you know. Who's the Untouchables now? The Nuclear Energy Crime Center. And this does not prove you. New Scale's been unloading insiders. It gets reported today by Guru, just what I said a few days. The stock goes the stock's just 666 right now, just like G. Government, here's some more money. The cover-up of Fukushima is outrageous. What's that, Fuku? What's that, Coco? What's that? Big fish eat little fish. You know, I was an early BIS student here, one of the first ones in the history of this school. I did biology with Dr. Winterton, the legend. I mean, that dude was a genius. Finance with Dr. Cooley, the #1 school business in the country. Fine art with Doyle Strong. I had the best of the best. Now they're derelicts around here. Look at the scores. They're they don't even make the Princeton Review. That's a top 300 based on testing. How do you go from #1 year in, year out? You know, mission accomplished. What did the 60,000-pound humpback whale, Coco, say to the tiniest little fishy in the sea, to the sea anemone, to the sea star, to the anchovy, to the sartee, to the photoplankton, to the zooplankton, to the zooplankton, potato, potato. What did he say? Fukushima. Fukushima killed my food. We too. We're filter feeders. Pseudo de facto university. This blows my mind. He gets 20 years in prison, rightfully so. 60 million, but the people that bribe him, they have to pay a fine of $230 million. Football says on it, and they want to tell you their names. And then Ohio bails them out and gives them over $1 billion amortized over years to keep the nuclear reactors. So you and the very people that were looted, the very people that were same thing in Utah, same thing here. Remember when we used to be downwinders? Same thing. You paid the very fine of the people that shammed you. It's uneasy, Fuku. You're looking a little mutated, Fuku. Sorry, Coco. So simple. You go to your local PTA and have a bake sale. It's disgusting. This corruption here. You know, we don't make it here in Utah, but we sure fund all the scammers. And we store the waste. Just send an offer. It's low level. I tried telling Cox, no, it's not low level. I'm the guy who was in the bone marrow transfer that reported there was an accident at San Onofre the same day I was going in a coma, January 30th, 2012. I had to fill without my cancer. San Onofre never shut. They had an accident. It backed up into the core. They were cheating on the exchange. Kamala Harris used to work with us. Where's she at now? I guess she's afraid of the nuclear energy crime syndicate. Who isn't? Ask John Kennedy. You know, when he stopped the open air testing after. They had to open the valve. It backed into the core. It would have blew up. What happens? That means it's contaminated. They vent it. Where do they vent it? Outside. Where did it vent? All over Orange County. All over. They're tearing it all down. The whole guts of it, all of it, it's over the Utah state limits. Cecil Andrews in Ohio used to sue over and over. I used to work with him. The Abalone Coalition in San Diego. Here, you know, Hill of Utah got hijacked. One of the original founders, anti-nuclear. You know, the Snake River Alliance. That was Cecil Andrews. He used to fight me. He used to sue the feds. You're bringing in nuclear waste over the legal limits. And he would win, and they still bring it in. Same here with, you know, I asked Governor Herbert, every single freaking governor, only Walker's mother, she's the female governor here. Only Walker was my neighbor on West Weaver. Her mother was my second grade teacher. Her auntie was my first grade teacher. She was a genius. She blocked it. Every governor blocked it. Democrat, Republican, Scott Matheson died of leukemia until Herbert backdoored let it in. And then Cox, bring it all on. Fuck. It's unbelievable. And they illegally lobbied Utah to fund these new scale reactors. And I'm like, no, it's illegal. This is corruption. Their original funding came from Kenwood Financial. They have to have the private funding before they can get the government grant. The private funding was a Ponzi scheme. The guy who runs a Ponzi scheme doing life in prison in South America. Just like Energy Solution. He informs me, this kid from Persia informed me the other day that guy's, remember when he sold his nuclear? What? He's still in this town? Yeah, he's a billionaire. Remember all that corruption? And we did the due diligence on us. Remember the stock crashed under zero, got delisted? Oh, no. You don't think they're the problem? Bryce Anderson re-up it. The Untouchables. This blows my mind, actually. What happened to our school business blows my mind. What happened to Kevin Blanch, the water school? You know how many professors in there died suddenly out of nowhere? in the #1 school business. Can't have that. Can't let the public institutions beat the private institution. Wharton and Harvard can't have that. Can't have that. 2 weeks before the NBA, we get the new NBA program. I'm going to get that first NBA. Where's Dr. Cooley? Do you hear? 2 weeks, something attacks his brain. He's dead like that. He was young in beautiful health. Kyle Madson's teaching it, and Kyle's like, Kevin, you got that? Well, I don't have. You're his protege. You're the guy. You only one knows the subject matter. What they did to me. Kyle Madsen gets lung cancer and dies. So does his wife. Well, I used to talk to him. I go, well, they taught at the University of Syracuse. That contamination. If you don't believe, go ask Bobby Kennedy Jr. Your watchers on Balco and Chemo. I talked to him right there. Oh, God. What a path, right? I get no funding. I have a couple small I've survived and I'm alive. Open heart surgery again this winter. My perfectly good heart torn to shreds. It's my heart, because I have no. Likely kick me on Medicaid. Why? Kevin, my dad's a downwinder. I'll get right back to you, he told me. His aides and everything took all my information. I'll get back to you this week. It was 9 years ago. 9 years ago. Where's your crowns? All I got to say. Nuclear energy crime certificate. If this doesn't prove they're the untouchables, you tell me what the hell does. You tell me what does. I'm a fool to do your dirty work. How'd you survive cancer? How'd you survive cancer? How'd you survive cancer? Remember my tide pool work and the starfish? How'd you survive cancer? Fighting back against these monsters, for Kevin reached into the bag and he slung the stone. And the stone struck the nuclear energy giant in the forehead and he fell. I got to finish the job. How is it possible householder gets 20 years? The BRIBEE and the BRIBEE, the very people that they ripped off, pays their speeding ticket. I'm a fool to do your dirty work. Oh, yeah. How did you survive AML? I was given 2 months to live with an unsurvivable form of cancer. What a journey, huh? Fighting back against the people that gave it to me. How is this even possible that this happened? I told Damian Lillard, I showed him this shirt, and I says, he's on the camp at the same time as me. I says, Lillard, do you want my autograph? That's disturbing. Stay tuned.